Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be doing a second test day on the Vonkat rear suspension coil shock that we have here. Now in our last video, which you might have seen, we tested a pre-production version of this same shock, and we were sent another one which is moving into full production, and they made some minor changes, and now we're just gonna be testing that and seeing it out. And I wanna start out with, full transparency. What is our relationship with Vonkat? So if there is any bias in this review, and we always try and stay as unbiased as possible. But if you're wondering, Vonkat just reached out to us via email and said, hey, would you like to try this shock out? I'll send it to you, and you can film a video and give us your honest impressions. Now, we sent them the video and they liked it for the first one, and that was that. Basically, they didn't have us change anything. There was no oversight, and it was just our honest opinion. Now, we may look to sell this shock in the future. As you know, we are a business that sells aftermarket components for this, but of course that's in the future, and we are just reviewing the shock in this video.
Yeah, so we've got the V2 now, which should be the full production model. And again, we were sent this one for free as well, so we are gonna remain unbiased, even given that. So the main change, and I'm gonna try not to butcher this because me and Cole have had a couple multi-hour conversations on the phone about some of the changes. But basically in the shim stack, there's different sets of shims, and one of the things that was done was a crossover shim was put in. And I mean, do you want to explain a crossover shim? I don't know if I could do it on video and not mess it up.
It's basically just a change in the thickness and diameter of the shims, and the goal of that is to allow a little bit more compliance with mid-speed bumps, which was one of our primary, not complaints, but critiques of the last version that we tested.
Yeah, we felt like the shock really excelled in most areas, but the one area it could have been better in was just feeling a little smoother in the middle stroke. And we've ridden like 3 to 5 miles of very rocky terrain to get to this spot now, and we're like, okay, let's film the video here. This is a nice spot. But on the way up here, we both had the exact same impression when we got off the bike and talked to each other. We felt like the mid-bump compliance was definitely better, and the word he used was that it was very predictable, which I totally agree with. And the other thing that was weird that we both experienced was we thought that the Fox shock was still more comfortable to ride, in the sense that the vibration and the smoothness was more soaked up, it was more damped. But we felt like we had to push the bike and ride it like a lot harder to go fast. On the Vonkat shock, if you feel like you're getting more feedback from the ground, which in my opinion, feedback is what allows you to tweak how you're riding and ride faster. And we both experienced that. We swapped bikes back and forth, and we felt it was easier to ride faster with the Vonkat.
If you're thinking about buying a rear shock and you're looking at either the Fox DHX2, which is probably one of the more predominant options, or this shock, one thing to note is, there are subtle differences, but overall they are both a coil shock. They are very similar. Now, when you get a shock, you want it to match your fork. So when we're talking about the overall handling characteristics of these shocks, we're talking about it combined with the front fork set up to match. And the Vonkat is generally a little stiffer, and it sags into the travel less just when you sit on the bike. So we have that fork set up to match that level of damping, because you want your bike to be balanced. With the DHX2, you sit on the bike, it sags a little bit more. You could turn up the compression, but I would say in general, with a neutral setting, it's a little bit softer. And what you get with this softer suspension is, as Riley mentioned, comfort, but it's less balanced and it can pop over the place a lot more, and it's definitely a little bit slower riding. So I think that would be just like the main takeaways when comparing the two.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So we're going to be going back downhill now, which generally speaking I think it's a little more brutal on suspension, just because suspension tends to perform worse under braking than it does under power. So this will be a good test for it. Again, I feel like this is going to be a really solid option for heavier riders because... What's up? Yeah, just to the camera.
Sorry, I thought I heard you talking.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, what'd you say?
I was just talking to the camera.
Oh shit. Sorry. Okay, I'll stop. I won't stop then.
No, you're good. Anyway, like I was saying, I feel like this would be better for heavier riders just because it's stiff and we're running it on on the softest setting, I should say. So it only gets stiffer from here. And after talking with Mark at Vonkat, it doesn't sound like there's plans maybe to release the 550 spring. He was kind of, I don't want to say in agreement because we weren't really having a debate about it, but he was saying that it's not a good idea to have customers really needing to compress their spring to get it onto the body of the shock. It's just kind of dangerous. So we have the preload basically as loose as it can be. We have the compression all the way open, and it's like, I don't know, for me it's exactly where I want it. I love the bike feeling just absurdly stiff because it just goes where I want it to go, and it's not wallowy. I hate that feeling. So we weigh about 160 pounds. I think this thing totally has the range just on this single spring for, you know, up to 200 plus, depending on how hard you ride. Oh,
Running washed out.
We need Vonkat on the front too. But yeah, just generally the stiffness of this setup is something I really enjoy. For someone who's like 140, 130, somewhere in that range, unless you ride like insanely hard, this is probably gonna feel a bit stiff to you. Because it feels stiff to me at 160. Again, that's how I like it, but just keep that in mind. I don't want to give, you know, false confidence about what rider weights could be riding on this. So yeah, overall though, I like it more than the Fox. It feels it feels similar in its just generic performance to the Fox coil shock, but the Fox air shock is just so, the way that thing rides is so I don't know, hard to compare to a coil shock, I should say. The sensation is just much different. I wish we could give a better review on its jumping performance, because I know
some of you crazy guys out there like to take these things on tracks, but unfortunately a lot of the trail systems here us don't really have jumps, which kind of sucks. I know in our videos you've seen us hit some pretty good sized jumps, but we have to travel to find those, or when we do find them, it's usually at a place where the trails aren't very good. So I guess you have to decide what you want, good trail riding or the ability to jump. All right, so I lied. Apparently there are good, well, maybe not good, but there's jumps here, so I'll be able to give you a live reaction to the jump performance. Now, full disclosure, I hit them on the way out, so I know what they feel like, but all I've got to say is I'm impressed. I was telling Cole, I think this may be the best suspension setup of anything I've ever ridden as far as jumps are concerned. It is really dialed. I mean, it's just perfect. Overshot that second one there, not a big deal. The front soaked it perfect. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Oh my god. Oh, look at the arm pump. It is one of the downsides to a stiffer setup. The arm pump. Not as friendly as especially for this. Very chattery. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's a floater. Bike's running so good. Got my brakes dialed in, all bled. Suspension feels prime. New chain. Oh man. Yeah, this is good. Shit, I thought I lost my GoPro there for a second. Sorry, I missed one of the big jumps in the triple there. Oh well. My forearms can take to hold these bars. That's great. Woo! Here's the rock. Oh my god. Oh. Wow. So that like bumpiness, chatteriness you get, or at least I get, with the Fox front end, trying to stiffen it up for those jumps, you don't feel that on the back at all. It's so smooth. The mid to high, or I don't know how you'd explain that, but deep in the travel feels prime. It is nice.
That's potentially some of the most fun I've had on this thing.
No, I was saying that the whole time. I was like, oh my god, it's so sick.
We haven't really ever had this on like a jump rhythm trail before.
No. That's like
I could go back the other way again, dude.
That's like Crank It Up at Whistler kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Not like A-line size hits, but just...
I will say the jump or the speed for the jumps is very inconsistent though.
Yeah.
It's not kind of like pin it and rip it. You kind of have to like...
Oh, if you pinned it, yeah, you'd totally be facing like the next jump.
Yeah. there's a couple I did not hit with the right speed, but
Yeah.
pretty fun.
By the way, shout out to Mark from Vonkat for these jerseys. Very nice. It says Saran on them. Very good colorway. Looks nice with the green. Love it.
Don't wear it on a muddy day.
Yeah. Don't ruin the white. All right, well, I think that's where we're gonna cap off this video. Do you have anything else to add?
I think I need to do that trail with a little bit more low speed compression on the Fox to really give it a good comparison, since I was running it super neutral. But yeah, it was super fun though.
Yeah. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Be on the lookout. We'll definitely have announcements for this shock when we release it, or when Vonkat releases it. And we plan to have it for sale on our website. So yeah, thanks for watching. Consider subscribing if you like this video, you want to see more like it, and have a nice day.